Maybe I focus a little bit on His Holiness' four principal commitments. 1959, His Holiness had to leave Tibet. We lost our country, but the world gained the Dalai Lama. If Tibet had been independent as before, then His Holiness would not have traveled as much as he has done in this lifetime and contribute so much to the well-being of the larger interests of humanity. First, His Holiness always says, I'm one among 8 billion people in this world. So as one human being, my responsibility is to promote human values. That is the reason why His Holiness always treats, whether he meets a king or a president or a prime minister or a pauper on the street, for him, everybody is same. We are all same human beings. He always talks about the oneness of humanity. Whether you are white, black, brown, yellow, whatever, we are all human beings. We are all same human beings. We have the same human intellect. That is why His Holiness developed this curriculum called the C learning, social, emotional, and ethical learning. I know of institutions who teach social and emotional learning, but not ethical learning. That is why His Holiness worked with many years with Emory University to develop this curriculum, which is a very secular approach to education, not dependent on a particular religion. If it is possible for the mayors here and for the leadership here in Utah to experiment that curriculum. I remember accompanying His Holiness once to the United Kingdom, and one politician came to meet with His Holiness, and his first question was, Your Holiness, we have so much problem with youth. And His Holiness' immediate response was, everything is wrong with modern education, because focus is all on materialism, not developing your heart, not developing your mind. So this, I believe, is one of His Holiness' biggest contribution to humanity. The C learning, because of its secular nature, because every religion talks about goodness of human beings, loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and everything. But we need to practice this. We need to teach to the next generation who will be responsible for running this world and for making this world a better place to live in. And the second commitment of His Holiness is interreligious harmony. His Holiness always says, I am a simple Buddhist monk. As a Buddhist monk, I practice Buddhism. And even within Buddhism, His Holiness segregates that into Buddhism as a religion for Buddhists to practice, including rituals. Then Buddhist science and Buddhist philosophy, which His Holiness believes that everybody can study, whether you believe in Buddhism or not. Just as we don't have one medicine for 100 sicknesses, we have many religions to cater to the mental disposition and inclination of different human beings in this world. So you have so many religions. The reason for spirituality and religion is to bring more happiness in oneself and to the community that you live in and to contribute to the national interests of that country. But then again, in the name of religion, we have so many violence. That is why His Holiness has led and participated in so many interreligious harmony with so many different religious traditions. That is also the reason why His Holiness has friends across religions, all over the world. So His Holiness always says, practice your own religion, but respect all other religions. That is the key message, how we can bring harmony amongst practitioners of different faiths. And the third commitment of His Holiness is Tibet. Of course, His Holiness is a born Tibetan. He is not just an ordinary Tibetan, but he is the Dalai Lama. So he has a responsibility towards Tibet and the Tibetan people. But it's not because Tibetans are important, because we have a culture that is rooted in nonviolence and peace. We have an environment that has impact all over the world. Tibet, we call our land as the land surrounded by snow mountain ranges. And I think when His Holiness visited Utah for the first time and saw all the snow mountains around Utah, His Holiness said, "This looks like Lhasa, the capital of Tibet." So Tibet is also called as the roof of the world because of its altitude. When I visit countries like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, all other countries, I always ask them, which is your highest mountain? And the Japanese say, Mount Fuji. How high? 3,700, 3,800 meters. I tell them, that's like base camp in Tibet. You start climbing from there. Because the average altitude of Tibet is more than 16,000 feet. It's, to be precise, 16,010 feet above sea level. And Tibet is also now called as the third pole, because Tibet has the largest amount of glaciers and permafrost aside from the North Pole and third pole, the South Pole. And that is also the reason why Tibet is also called as the water tower of Asia, because all these major rivers in Asia, like the Yellow and Yangtze that flows into China, originate from Tibet, from the Tibetan plateau. If it is not for these two rivers, China cannot support its 1.4 billion people. And the Chinese civilization also came up on the Yellow River that originates from Tibet. The Mekong flows into 5 different Southeast Asian countries: Burma, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So we have our friends also from those regions who are downstream countries. Then the Irrawaddy follows into Burma. You have Brahmaputra flowing from western Tibet to eastern Tibet, takes a U-turn and flows into India and Bangladesh. Now China is building a mega dam there, which is going to produce 2.8 times the hydroelectricity than the Three Gorges Dam, which is the biggest in the world in China. And this is supposed, they're investing about $165 billion to generate electricity to transport to eastern China, because China is now the factory of the world, producing about 35% of world's manufactured goods. So they need all this hydroelectricity. And then Indus and Jhelum flow into Pakistan, into India and Pakistan. So Tibet is also called as the water tower of Asia. So all these countries that are named, from Pakistan to Nepal to India to Bangladesh, 5 Southeast Asian countries and China, are some of the most densely populated areas in this world. Some environmentalists estimate that between 1.8 to 2 billion people out of 8 billion people have something or the other to do with rivers that originate from Tibet. So I read a scientific journal report about environmentalists having studied the correlation between Amazonia, the lung of the world, and Tibet, the roof of the world. When there is more rain in Amazonia, there is less snow in Tibet. When there is more snow in Tibet, there is less rain in Amazonia. So we live in an interdependent world. All this melting of ice, which is twice the speed of normal average around the world, also causes the heat waves in Europe. You will see more heat waves. Tibet is also called as the rainmaker because of the jet streams that flow over the Tibetan flat plateau, and the impact of El Nino warming up of the Pacific contributes towards where there will be more rain, where there will be more heat in the region. So Tibet's environment is very important, and His Holiness always talks about the Tibetan Buddhist culture. And His Holiness' 4th commitment is preservation and promotion of the ancient Indian wisdom.